I don't know if anybody knows this, but I was actually a huge fan of like vintage Britney Spears. And then in 2002, when she's saying, I'm not a girl, but not yet a woman, I said, bitch, me too! Ladies, gentlemen, select gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been like the longest time since I've seen you guys, but I took some much needed time off to recover, to heal, and get used to these new like liquid bags inside of my chest. But I also took time to enjoy summer and traveled and celebrated my birthday, which in hindsight was probably a really bad decision on my behalf, because now that it's fall and winter and the gloomy weather is upon us, I have to play with lighting just to make sure my videos are lit well, and it's just a hot mess. But what's really new? But with that being said, I am back, I am healed, I'm recovered, I'm recharged, I have Rumi and Sir Carter on my chest, and in today's video I just want to talk to you guys all about my boob job and my experience, and update you guys on how life's been since getting them. And for those of you transitioning, or even girls that were born with vaginas, if you guys are thinking about getting boob jobs, hopefully this video will give you a little bit of insight. So without further ado, and not too much of an intro, let's get started. So I suppose we should just start at the beginning. The night before surgery, I was super incredibly nervous, as you guys saw in my vlogs. I think anytime you go into surgery, or anytime you're going underneath the knife or anesthetic, it's really nervous because you just don't know if you're gonna wake up. That's just how life is. But regardless, I had to put my big girl panties on because this was a moment I was waiting for all of my life, and I wasn't gonna let the fear of death mar my day. The morning and day of surgery couldn't have gone any smoother. I had my support system with me, I had my family, and then I had my best friend Micah, Alexis, and my cousin Andrea come be with me on this momentous occasion. Shout out to them, because Micah had a graduation to be at that night, and Alexis had just flown in from the Philippines, and Andrea had just gotten off her shift at work, and they still found the energy to come out and be there for their girls. So shout out to my besties, I love you guys. The moment that we got to the surgery center, I signed in, and then they had me sign all of this paperwork. I waited a few minutes with my family and my friends, and they called me to the back, and I'm like, I was so nervous. But the staff at the center were just so nice, and they were so welcoming, and they were so warm. So I felt really taken care of. I felt good, and I felt really like easy going into the surgery. So they prepped me for my surgery and started putting like IVs in. And as I'm hooked to the IV and I'm in the pre-op room, that's when I'm meeting with my anesthesiologist, nurses, and nurses that are going to be in the OR. Which, side story, the sweetest thing happened to me in that moment when I was in the pre-op room and I was meeting with all these nurses. One of the nurses came up to me and she was like, "Hi Carla, I just want to introduce myself. I'm going to be one of the nurses that's going to be with you the whole time in the OR. My name is Kate." And if you guys don't remember my sister who passed away, her name is Kate. So instantly, after wanting to break down and cry, I felt this instant like safety, and I felt this warmth upon myself and calmness and peace, because I kind of just felt like that was my sister's way of saying that she was going to be there with me the whole time. So I felt protected and I felt good, and that really just calmed any nerves I had left about going into surgery. And that's when I just knew that everything was going to be a-okay. Thanks, sister. And then finally my surgeon comes in, and this is where he starts like marking me up and measuring where things are supposed to go, where the incisions are happening. This is when it kind of got real to me, because you always see this in like shows, or you see it in movies or music videos. And it was actually happening, and I was like marked up, and I saw where everything was gonna go, and I was like, oh my god, this is happening. And when that was done, that's when they started hooking you up with all the good drugs. And they're putting all of them into like the IV, and slowly but surely I'm starting to feel myself like doze off and starting to like trip out a little bit. I was like, oh man, I'm feeling good. Like, they make you feel really comfortable going into surgery. And then they brought me into the operation room, and the only thing I remember was them transferring me onto the surgery table, which I don't know if it was the drugs or if they cushioned it well, but I felt comfortable. I felt good, but I also kind of feel like they strapped me in, but I still felt good, and it might have been the drugs at that point. And then they have this big light that comes upon you, and that's like the only thing you're seeing. And then they put the mask on you, and then they ask you to count backwards from 10. I think I only remember counting like 10, 9, and then I was out. Before I knew it, I was waking up and looking to my left and seeing like the 2 nurses. I don't even remember the room I was in. That's how like drugged up I was. All I remember was, I don't know if I was just feeling really nice, but I just remember like waving at them, and it wasn't waving to let them know like, hey, I'm here. I just genuinely wanted to say hi. So like I'm waking up, eyes opening slowly, and I was just like, and I remember when I like really came to, like I looked down, forgetting that I was getting my boobs done. Like I looked down and there was like this big like bandage. It's just like the bandeau that they have, and you're like bandaged up. If I can give you any visual equivalent, I literally looked like Mulan after Shang discovered her like secret that she was a woman. And go figure, I was discovering myself becoming a woman. And mind you, there's a lot of like patterization that happens when you get surgery, but it didn't really like click in my head. So when I saw the bandeau, it was so big. Like it literally went down to like right here. And it just looked huge. And I was like, oh my God, I asked him to make me look natural and proportional, and I woke up looking like a freaking porn star. But then the drugs wore off and I just realized there was a lot of padding in there. But aside from that, also when I woke up, I instantly felt like really, really heavy. People would always equate it to having like a weight on your chest, and it really does feel like that. Especially for me, I had no tissue to work with, so my chest was getting stretched. On top of that, you still have 2 implants that are pressing against your chest, wrapped and binded by like this like bandeau. So my chest was just completely super, super tight. So it was a little hard to breathe, and my sentences were very like spaced out. That's literally how I talked. I felt like a pregnant woman who took like 3 steps up the stairs. And that's when I knew. I was like, oh my God, I'm Toni Braxton. I will never breathe again. Breathe again, breathe again. They brought me popsicles, and I devoured that because you don't eat for like 12 hours before surgery. After that, they put me into a wheelchair and strolled me out, and that's when I saw all my friends and my family. And you know what? Waking up from surgery, I didn't feel super drugged up. Like I didn't feel like groggy. I didn't even feel any pain. Again, the drugs. I didn't even feel like I had my boobs done. Like my energy was cool. But there was a moment in the car where like it kind of just hit me like what had happened. And I just like cried a hot mess because I was emotional about like, you know, my body. But then we got home, and thank God for my friends and family. They cooked for me, they took care of me. I slept a lot. You sleep a lot after these kinds of surgeries. Like we got back, I ate a little bit of soup because that's all I could eat, and I could only drink Gatorade, and I just knocked out. And I was in my bed for 3 days, just knocked out, bandaged up, and sweating, and I couldn't shower or anything, so I was just like in bed. It was also, because my chest was so tight, it was so hard to move, and like every time I had to like wake up, I remember I had to grab my sheets and pull myself up, and then when you would pull yourself up, you would feel the implants like move forward, and then they would push up against the incision, which the incision, if you guys don't know, it happened through my nipple, but it was pressing against like the incision, and you would just feel it. So every time I had to get up, I was like, this better be worth getting up, and usually it was to go pee or get food. But it was a battle. It was like a struggle every morning and every day to kind of like pull myself up and to deal with like that pain. But it was really, really nice because I had a lot of people visiting me and a lot of people sending me gifts, and that really helped the recovery, and it made it a lot easier too, even if I was sleeping half the time that they were here. And that was basically the first like 3 days after surgery. But finally, on the 3rd day, like Jesus, she rose again. As I was waking up that morning and I laid in bed, I was like, I'm not going to take too long to try and get out of bed today. Like, I feel like I could lift myself up, and I think I'm getting my strength back. I think what helped me to be better by the 3rd day was I didn't take too many energy-killing drugs. I tried to get past without any of those really heavy drugs, just because I feel like it makes you groggier longer. But that day I was able to move, my pain was minimal, And I was able to wash my hair. I was able to move around. My arms kind of like were getting their range back. And the length and breath that I had to take between every word was getting smaller. So I knew that day, like, it was like a change in the tide and I felt good. My energy was back to normal. That was actually the same day as my post-op, my first post-op appointment. That's where they removed my bandages and I was able to see my breasts for the first time. And this was outside of like these thick bandages that were on me, and they were perfect. They were a little bit higher than they are now, obviously, because they drop. I was so excited to not have to wear a bandage anymore, only to find out that they were still gonna bandage me right back up. Just not with all the padding, but they were gonna still put a bind on me. And that was that. It was such a smooth process for me. It wasn't anything like difficult. It wasn't anything that I couldn't handle. Honestly, laser hair removal is, to me, worse than recovering from a boob job. The only thing is that I'm very impatient when you first get them done, especially if your chest is as tight as mine. They're very stiff and they're very hard and you have to do your massages in order to get them like softer. Once I got that bandeau on, I was trying to try on all my bras and like I was so excited. I was trying on all my clothes that I didn't fit before on the top, and I wanted to see how it looked. Obviously it didn't look like it was supposed to yet, but I was just so impatient. I was just so excited to see what I looked like in all my clothes that I never fit before. So that was a fun moment for me. The size that I got was actually, I had asked him for a full B, but after the swelling went down and I was able to get measured, I actually measured out as a 32C. So I was like, oh, you made me a really full B. And we were gonna do a 370cc, and he actually filled it to a 375cc. And the type of implant, it's a new implant actually. It's called the Ideal implant. It is technically saline, but it's not your like traditional like water balloon, because that's definitely what I didn't want. And it's not silicone, because it's not like a gummy bear. It's technically saline, but it has the characteristics of a silicone, and it has like chambers inside of it so that the saline can freely move through it, but you still get a nice and natural kind of like feel to them and look, without them looking like stiff like a silicone gummy bear, but also not like water balloon like a saline. So I'm really glad that he had that option available to me. And if any of you guys are thinking of getting your boobs done and you're thinking of what type of implant to get, check with your surgeon to see if the Ideal is an option for you guys. It's IDEAL. Look it up for yourself, research it. Like I said earlier in this video, the procedure method that we ended up going with was through my nipple. I'm actually really glad that we did it through that way because, one, I have no under boob, so to speak, because there's not really a crease there, so you would have seen the scar if I would have gone underneath. I lift my arms a lot because I'm always like, hey! So you would have seen it through there, but my nipple, one, you never see unless it's like poking out like it is now. And two, it's already like dark and light skin. I will say that they were like red for a long time, but now they're just kind of like turning like pinkish. As for the sensation, they were numb for a like really, really, really long time. It's been about like 5 months, and even still, I kind of feel like they're just now gaining back a little bit more sensation like every single day. So it takes a while for you to get your sensation back in your nipple if you decide to go through that route. So just be careful, because if your man or your boo thing is all up on it, you wouldn't even know. One thing I didn't expect to go through after surgery was I did feel a slight tinge of depression. It's weird, it's not like a depression that you're just sad, it's literally like a feeling, and it's so hard to explain, but it just happens to you and you have no control over it. The only way that I can explain it is I would feel this weird feeling of being homesick, like the actual feeling that happens inside of me, not like the mental, emotional feeling, the actual feeling. It's the hardest thing to explain, and it really does just hit you out of nowhere, like you just have no control over it. Because I could be out with friends, I could be out with family, or even in a crowd of people, or even at work, and still feel like apart or distanced from my life. Like I didn't feel like myself. I felt like I was missing out on life, but I was completely present. There was new foreign parts on my body, so I kind of just hoped that you know, maybe once I get back to my normal day life that I'll start to feel normal again. Like maybe once I start going back to work, you know, I'll feel normal, or if I spend time with this and this person, I'll feel normal. But no matter what I did, no matter how much like myself I tried to feel, I could not feel like myself. And it took a really long time, almost to a point where I thought like this is probably just a feeling I'm gonna live with and I just kind of have to deal with it. So it wasn't a constant thing I would feel all day, every day, but I did feel it every single day. But slowly but surely, it took a good like 3 to 4 months to finally realize like that I wasn't feeling that feeling anymore. So that was something that I totally was like a curveball for me, and I didn't realize I was going to feel. And you kind of have to understand that no matter how much of a positive person you are, no matter how well you are at handling, you know, things, you are not immune to, you know, your body itself. I kind of feel like, and I'll never know this feeling, so I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anybody, but I kind of feel like I get it now, how moms can go through postpartum depression. And you think like, oh, a baby's supposed to bring life and happiness into your life, but things just naturally happen to your body, and there are things that you just can't control. Because I'm a really happy person, I'm really positive, so like I said, I didn't think that I was going to go through it, but it happens. But also just know it's normal. Everyone goes through it. Even the most positive people go through it. So stick it out. It's nothing abnormal and it's nothing wrong with you. It's just something that you have to kind of get over when you are making all these alterations to your body. I actually haven't gone shopping for bras yet, just because I still wanted to really make sure like I wasn't swollen or anything like that. But at the same token, I haven't needed them because the way that these sit on my chest, I almost don't need them to be lifted or whatever. But sometimes I just need support, or I just need something to cover my nipple. But long story short, I am so happy with just my complete experience. I'm just in such a good and happy place in my life, and I really, like I said, can't thank God enough, because this was all in His plan. This moment in my life has been just a long time coming in my journey, and I'm just glad that I'm finally started to kind of make this transition into physical womanhood, and I'm just excited for the future. And I know that was like a lot of information and a lot of things to kind of put into one video. It's been like a whole 5 months. If there was anything that I forgot, or if there's any questions that you guys have about surgery, or you know, the experience afterwards, or if you're thinking about getting the surgery but you're just not sure and you just have some questions, or you guys just need advice, hit me up, let me know, because I would like to think that I've had enough experience to be able to give you a educated opinion. Thank you guys again for watching, even in this like 5-month hiatus. If you guys like this video, put a thumbs up on it. Don't forget to hit that button down here that says subscribe. You can turn on your notifications if you want to know when I post new videos. And last but not least, never forget to work hard and slay harder. Love you, bye.